I've talked about how to use n8n with Notion and how powerful that combination can be. And I briefly touched Notion and n8n before when I was making my personal AI assistant videos. But today I'm going to be digging a little bit deeper on how to integrate n8n with Notion and how powerful this combination can be. It can be pretty helpful with whenever you're setting up something for your either some personal life, anything in your work or your business. Using an AI agent with Notion can be super helpful. And today I'm going to be showing you an example of how you can use an AI agent to update a database in Notion. If this is something that you'd like to build with me, then keep watching and I'll show you how to get this set up. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my channel where I show you how to build automations and AI agents. So of course, this is an automation that involves an AI agent, and like I mentioned earlier, this is going to be using a Notion database. So the way I have this set up again is I'm going to be using this AI agent to be creating content for me, and then it sends all that information into Notion. Now, just for this example, I'm going to be using a recipe generator. So the use case in this scenario will be an AI agent helping me with recipes. So let's say I don't have time to, be researching recipes, planning them, with my busy schedule and all of that. So I build an AI agent. It helps me with what to get at the grocery store, how to prep the items, and then of course how to cook the meal. It does this on a schedule. It does it daily, but of course you can schedule it to however you want. One thing I really wanted to point out is that even though I'm using this as a recipe generator, you can use this for multiple scenarios with the same kind of setup. You can have the AI agent set up as a study agent. It can send you study notes, do some research on a topic that maybe you're studying in, other types of research, maybe looking at analysis of different topics. Or you can use it to plan things like planning a YouTube video, for example. Whatever your use case may be, you can use the same kind of setup, just how I have it set up. Just tweak a few things. Of course, you're going to want to adjust your prompt and then select your Notion database. And of course, I have this template set up for free, available on my website. I'll put the link in the description below so you can go ahead and grab that and set it up however you want. Change your model, do whatever you like, personalize it to whatever you need it for, and hopefully it's something that can help you with your life or your business. So let me briefly talk about how this is set up and how it all works. So of course, like I said, this starts on a schedule. So right here, I have this set up daily, sends a recipe to me at 7 a.m. And then that of course fires off the AI agent. So this has a prompt right here, which I'll expand. And this is basically just saying, hey, you're an assistant helping me create recipes for home. This one, you can tweak it however you want. If you are using this for recipes, I added this little line here, create recipes for picky toddlers. So if that's your situation, you can add that in there. You can also tell it to watch out for any allergies, dietary restrictions, things like that. And of course, you want to be monitoring the output, making sure that it's accurate. Do some testing, fine tune the prompt. The more context, the better the output. Of course, I'm just using my favorite LLM there. And usually, just like my social media posts, all of those automations, I usually use a Google Doc or a Google Sheet to track previous posts, just so things don't get too repetitive and it doesn't do the same thing over and over again. In this scenario, I'm going to be using an n8n dataset. If you've seen my social media automations before, I do something very similar with Google Sheets, where I have the AI agent check for its history and then update it once it does create a new post. So this is just the output parts right here. It tells the agent how to generate its output right here. So this is where I have ingredients, prep instructions, cooking instructions. So if you are modifying this for different types of use case, just make sure you go into here and then update this JSON. Moving on to the other tool right here. This is going to be using Tavily. So what Tavily is it's a tool where it searches the web. So it's primarily designed for AI agents, and it helps it query the internet and find topics, do some research. It's pretty handy, really cool. There's a free tier. So I'll be showing you how to get set up with this, how to set up an account in Tavily, how to get its API key, and then set it up in n8n. It's really quick and easy. So I'll be showing you how to do that. Right here, it just prepares all the fields. So these are all the things I'm going to be passing over to Notion. And then going into Notion right here, this is where I have all my properties sent. So this is where I have the title. I'm going to be having blocks. So this is what you're going to be using when you're sending data to Notion. And then finally, this part's optional, but I like to get my updates one way or another. In this case, I'm going to be using Discord, but of course you can use Teams, Gmail, Outlook email, whatever you like. You can modify that. So that's how this works completely. I'll be building this from scratch. It's not as complicated as it looks. It might seem a little bit intimidating. But first, I'm going to start off by creating our Tavily account. And then I'll move on to just quickly setting up our data set. That's super quick. And then building our workflow from start to finish, just so you can see how everything's put together. But again, like I said earlier, I have a template, so you can just go in there and just plug all your stuff in there. Follow along with the build, and hopefully this helps you get set up with an automation that updates your Notion database. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, all right, so like I said, we're going to be starting off with Tavily. So again, what this is that it connects to your AI agent, like this says right there, and it allows them to search on the web. So it's pretty cool, pretty handy. Gives you that ability to give your agents the tools that it needs to search the web whenever you need to do any type of web search, any type of research, things like that. So right here, you're just gonna sign up for an account. I'm just gonna sign up for a new account. And I'm just gonna go through this process here. So continue with Google, pick my test account, and continue. All right, so again, super quick, nice and easy. So right here, you're gonna see this right away here. That's pretty much all you're gonna need. You're gonna want to copy this, save it somewhere, and then you're gonna plug it in. I'll show you what to do in n8n with this API key, so you're able to use Tavily. So one more thing I wanted to touch on before we move on is that this is going to be in a free tier. So if you're doing some heavy searching, you're probably going to want to look into the pay-as-you-go plan. But for what we're going to be using this today, we're not even going to be hitting that. We should be maintaining into our free tier, which is very handy. So that's what we're going to be plugging in n8n, and that keeps everything nice and cost effective as I like to build my automations. All right, heading back into n8n, you're gonna want to click on this arrow right here beside where it says create workflow. Click on that, and then we're going to be creating a data table. Give it a name. So just for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to call it YouTube-demo, just like that. Great. And then right here, you're just going to add one field, and you're going to name this recipe title, or the title of whatever it is that you're going to be adding. But I'll show you why this is going to be handy later, just for history and logging purposes. So add column, and that's pretty much it. That's the setup. We're making pretty good progress here. We got Tavily in our data setup. Now let's start with building our workflow. Okay, so right here, blank canvas. Okay, let's start off with our trigger. So like I said, this is going to be on a schedule, and every day, let's just leave it at that, at midnight, but this is where you can pick the time. All right, so I'm just gonna leave that right there. All right, nice and easy. Click the plus sign right there. We're gonna be going with AI agent. So AI and then AI agent right there. All right, so right here, you're gonna change this property, define below, and then this is where you're gonna put the prompt. All right, so I'm just going to paste in the existing prompt that I have. It just works for me right now. But this is again where you're going to be entering the prompt, the instructions you're giving to your agent on how to create your content. Now right here, make sure that box is checked, and then that allows us to put our output parser. So that is it for the AI agent. So it's ready to go. Of course, it just needs its tools and its LLM. So I'm going to pick Gemini. All right, so over this one, I'm just going to change this one actually to Pro, and then tools. This is where we're going to be adding a couple of the tools that we need. So of course there is a Tavily tool, very handy in n8n. So just open that up. All right, so I have my Tavily account right there. Let's make a new one. So I'm gonna go create credential. All right, so I'm just gonna call this YT demo just for myself there. And then all you need is that API key from Tavily's website. So if you go back to Tavily, you're just going to copy that API key, go back to n8n, paste it, save, and you're good to go. Super easy. Close that. All right, now everything can stay the same. The only thing you're going to put in here is the query. So it's very simple. Just a one-liner is all you're going to need for this. So if I go back to this existing workflow right here, it wasn't too in depth, just a simple 15-minute toddler recipe for picky toddlers, healthy ingredients. So right there, you can I'm just going to copy that, paste it in there. But again, this is where you can set in what you want to query. So again, remember, if you have any dietary restrictions or any allergies, make sure you put them here as well, so it searches for that. All right, so query search set automatically. Everything can stay the same. That's it for Tavily. All right, nice and easy. Okay, now then we're gonna add our data set right here. Data table tool. Sorry, not data set. Anyways, what you're gonna check here is you're just gonna leave it at row. Operation, you want to check here for if row exists, and then from list right here, you're just going to choose the one that you created. So I'm going to pick YouTube demo, and you're going to add a condition here, and then in this drop down, it'll grab all the ones that you created. So if you put in a specific column here, it'll grab it right here. So you just have to select it. All right, for the value, again, this is going to be in the template, but you're just going to put this right here. So what this is saying from AI, the title. What this means is it's just the title that's coming from the AI agent as it's generating its content. So if the title that the AI agent comes up with matches what's in this recipe title column, then what it's going to do, it's going to drop it. So I do have that in the prompt, so make sure you have that set up in the prompt. So if it exists, forget it, think of a new recipe. All right, so that's what this is for, and that's just so things don't get repetitive. Depending on your use case, that might be something that you probably won't need, but either way, it comes handy. Obviously, you don't want your AI agent to come up with the same content over and over and over again. So you just want to put that in there just to keep ideas fresh. And then lastly, for the tools, we're just going to add the output parser. So of course, this is how the AI agent is going to generate its output, and that's so that the rest of the nodes can pick it up and send it over to Notion. So click on that, and we're going to go structured output parser. All right, so when you're doing this, always remember to check this right here, define using JSON schema, and then this is where you're going to put the output. Now, generally when I'm building this from scratch, I leave this the same, and then I just modify these. State cities, this is the example, right? So for example, let's say if I'm making this from scratch, this is where I put, recipe title, and that's going to be string, and then this is going to be ingredients, just like that. And then you can just copy and paste. Just make sure you're adding commas on these right here. So you're going to put a comma there, paste the next one, go on, so on and so forth, for whatever you need, if you need more than two properties there. But just for making the video go along, I'm just going to copy and paste from the template. So again, this is from the existing workflow, but if you're going to be doing this, make sure you just change these like I said earlier. But this is where you want to modify everything. So ingredient string, just like that example before. Just want to put that out there if you ever do these from scratch. Just good to know. All right, so that's pretty much it. Not too bad at all. We're making pretty good progress. We have the AI agent configured, set up, and ready to go. We're going to be building the other part here, which is the last section, and that's posting what the AI agent has generated and sending it over to Notion. All right, now that we have pretty much the engine of this whole setup configured, let's give it a test just to make sure that it can properly generate our content. So I'm just going to go right here. I'm just going to execute right there. Okay, so it did its query with Tavily. Let's see, if I recall correctly, I think I used Flash, not Pro. I could check, but let's run this again. Yes, okay. Make sure you test with different models. This is a perfect example right here. Sometimes certain ones work better, different use case depending on what it is. So right here, Flash 2.5 for Gemini ended up working better. And look at that, it worked just fine. All right, so kind of glad I ran into the error actually. It's just a good example, just to remind you to test with different models. If you have different API keys, like let's say Anthropic, OpenAI, make sure you do the other tests as well, just to make sure that you're getting the best output as possible. But anyways, enough talk right there. So there we go. Came up with ingredients, prep instructions, cooking instructions, and then its title, little blog bit right there. Excellent. We're going to need that for what we're going to add next. So I'm going to add a set fields node right here. Okay. All right. So what we're going to need here, and again, customize this to whatever you need, but I'll show you how I'm going to set this up. So title, and then blog post intro. Okay. Ingredients, I should spell that right. Ingredients, prep instructions, cooking instructions. Sure, I'll leave the grocery price in there. Well, it's not doing a job. I'll have to fine tune that. But anyways, this is all the properties I'm going to be moving over and sending into Notion. If it's just text, then leave it as string. And then the value, this is what you can do for the value. So title, of course, that's going to go in title right there. Blog post intro, this paragraph right here, you're just going to take that part and drag and drop. And then ingredients, the cool thing about that is if you ever wonder how it's going to pull each and every single one of these, you just grab the top section right here. So you can even minimize it. Just grab this whole thing and it's going to pull the entire array over. So nice and easy right there. And as you can see, n8n already grabs it as an array. Prep instructions, I'm just going to do the same thing right there. That's also a list. And cooking instructions, grab that there. Grocery prices, approximately $5 to $7. Yeah, okay. Not with today's grocery prices, but yeah, again, I'm just leaving it out there for now. Generally, this is how you send content from your AI agent to the set fields node. So that's how you do it right there. Nice and easy, drag and drop. All right, I'm gonna just execute this individually. Okay, so it's just going to bring out the next, or the same thing. All right, so next is just going to be posting to Notion. Okay, so this is my YouTube test database that I've been using for all my previous videos. So right here is just a table. I have it set up as list for the layout. So this is what I'm going to be using for Notion, for my Notion node, and sending all of my data over to this database right here. So going back into our workflow right here, just gonna hit the plus sign, and we're gonna go and select the Notion right there. So what we're gonna be selecting here is create a page. Create a page. So I'm just gonna leave it there at Notion account. If you want to know how to set up Notion, its integration and its secret key and all that, so you can authenticate it with the n8n, I'll post a link in the description below. I have a video of showing you how to do that. I just don't want to make this video too long, but this is where you can set up all your settings to post to your Notion page. So page, create. All right, so from here you're gonna go database page, create from list, and I'm just gonna pick my YouTube test database. All right, so right here I've selected my test database. So this is where we can begin putting in all of our properties. I'll do a couple and I'll just speed through the rest. You don't need to see me doing the same thing over and over again, but I'll show you some of the main parts. So title, obviously it's gonna go right there. The next thing we're gonna do after setting up the title is you're gonna go over to where it says blocks. So I'm just gonna go through the main parts here, and then I'll speed through once it gets to the repetitive parts, just so you don't see me doing the same thing over and over again. So I'm just gonna add a block, and it's gonna be paragraph, and then this is where you're gonna drag and drop the blog post intro. Just leave it like that. All right, if you just have simple text, then that's what you can do. Just drag and drop paragraph. I'm gonna add another block. So what I'm gonna do this time is I'm gonna do header 3. This is just gonna be the title, and I'm just gonna type in ingredients, just like that. I'm gonna add another block. This one's gonna be paragraph, and then this is where I'm gonna drag and drop ingredients, just like the edit, how I drag and drop from the agent to the edit. You just drag the main part. No need to go individually, especially this is going to be dynamic, so it's going to be changing. So it doesn't matter how often that changes. It's just going to grab the entire main ingredient part, or whatever you set it to. And then I'm going to basically do the same thing. Add a block, header 3. This one's going to be prep instructions. Add block, paragraph, and then prep instructions, just like that. I'm pretty much going to be doing the same thing for the rest right here. So I'll just do it super quick. All right, so as you can see, just like the example there, I have a block that's a heading 3, title, another block that's paragraph, and then the properties from the AI agent. So I just did that for the rest. That's going to be it for Notion. Okay, and then next we're just going to go to the data table right here. This one is going to add a row. So insert row, and then actually we're going to have to test this out right here. So let's see if this adds to Notion. It did not. Let's see what happened. Okay, so one of the reasons why I'm getting this error here, it just doesn't like the way that the text is passing through to Notion. And I recall when I was building this the first time, did a little bit of research and had to just add just a little bit more into the expression. So it basically makes it into bullet points is basically what this is doing right here. So I'm just going to copy this from the existing workflow right here, and I'm going to replace it with this, and you'll see the difference here when you replace it. Or sorry, I'm going to put it into the wrong one here. Okay, ingredients, this is where it is. All right, so it doesn't like the way this is being passed, right? These are fine, but because this is an array, it's going to behave a little bit differently when it's receiving it. So that's when I added the extra little bit there for the expression. And then here it turns it into a bullet point list. So that's what this is right here. As that bullet point, a little space plus the item, and then the ingredient item. So I'm going to do the same thing over here for cooking instructions. Okay, so cooking instructions. I'm going to do the same thing there. This is actually for the prep instructions, so let me just put that over where it says prep instructions. If you're using the template completely, you're not going to worry about this. However, if you are making something and it doesn't have to be or it doesn't happen to be a list, then you can pass it normally, just like this one, and you can probably erase all this extra stuff. I can just type it in here, ingredients, right there. There we go. Let's try this again. There we go. It liked that better. So now that we have our Notion, let's double check here to make sure that that got passed properly. Okay, so there's the task database. That's the name of the database that I set it up with, and that's where it is right here. So this is what it generated here just now. So let's take a look there. What is it? Quick fix dinner, bean and cheese quesadilla. All right, so it made that, and that's it right there. So here's all the input. There's a blog, ingredients, the list, prep instructions, the list, cooking instructions, the list, and the apparent $5 price that this quesadilla apparently costs, which is, I just leave it there for the comedy, honestly. I don't really need the grocery price in there. But anyways, that was successful, which is awesome. Now, right here, insert row, we're going to complete this part right here. So from the list, again, you're going to select the one that you created. So I'm selecting YouTube demo. And the only thing I'm going to be passing over here is the title. Right here, name. Right there. That checks the name. And then lastly, right here, our notification. I'm going to choose Discord. Feel free to pick your own notification method. That could be email, Teams, whatever you prefer. Or none, if you like that. But personally, I like to be notified if one of these are running. So send a message. Webhook. All right, I'll quickly show you how to create a webhook here in Discord. It's super easy. I'm just going to create a channel. Text. I'm going to call this recipe Notion. Something easy to remember. Edit channel, integrations, create webhook, and give it a name. I'm just going to call this Chef Zoom. Just name it after my dog. And then copy webhook URL, save changes. That's pretty much it. All right, now here I'm going to create a new credential, add in what I just copied from Discord. I'm going to call this Chef Zoom. Save. There we go. You're all set. Good to go. All right. So I'm just going to type in here, a new recipe has been created. Go check it out. All right. So for the name, what I'm going to pass here is just the title. Just like that. Okay, and then link to recipe. And then I'm just gonna grab the URL from Notion right here. So that way when you get the notification, you just click on the link and it takes you right to that specific recipe that the AI agent just created. And that's pretty much it for that. Let's test this to make sure that this part works. That was quick. And there we go. Click on that link. And it takes us to the recipe that we just created. Nice and easy. So there you go. There you have it. There is one awesome example of how you can integrate Notion with an n8n agent, how they can work together and make a powerful combo, updating your database and doing it all automated. So while you sleep or while you're at work or doing whatever it is that you're doing during the day, your AI agent is updating your database and letting you know when it gets updated. So something pretty handy, and that can help you save a lot of time, depending on what you want the agent to do. So it can do some research using the Tavily tool that we just set up. create recipes like I did, whatever use case you may think of. Hopefully this helped you out. Thank you so much for watching until the very end. I hope this makes your life easier, saves you time and hours. And if you like automations like this, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel out. Happy automating, and I will catch you in the next one.